I've got instant regret though. I'm so happy about the Bolton, but I'm like, I had in my subconscious heart, I was excited to lose to you so I could get the white James Conner jersey, and now I'm like, damn, man. I never know when to wear my Chiefs jerseys. I'm like, am I saving this for a special occasion? Is it weird to
Yeah.
just wear it randomly?
Yeah.
But I feel like the James Conner, I would just be like, I'm going to the supermarket,
I'm
putting
just
the
gonna go
James
hang
Conner
out.
on, like who gives a shit? You can wear this thing anywhere.
I took a lease out on your heart. I took a lease out on your heart. Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience. And together, we are on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How are you doing over there, Daniel?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm a little sad, only three games left in the
Three
football
games.
season,
Woof.
but I gotta say, there's a chance that my Chiefs could be in two of them. So looking
That's
forward to that, man. How
there's a
about you,
shot.
Christian? What's
Doing
up?
well, heartbreaking loss again for the
Hmm.
Packers in the playoffs. That's the fifth time that we've had the lead with 5 minutes left in a playoff game and still blown it at the end. So that's cool. Most in NFL since 2000. So,
Oh
but
man.
unlike these past 2 years where then we immediately went into this offseason of like, what is even going to go on in Green Bay? It's like, yeah, that was shitty and that sucked. It sucked worse that we had it, like it was there, we could have won, and we fucked it away. But it's all just kind of like bright signs now, like it's like, okay, well, Jordan Love is good. Now we've got money, like let's go. And we fired Joe Barry this today. Um, which, bad for him. Poor guy. He seems like a good guy, but it seems like the right move. So we
Sure.
can be excited about that as fans. So yeah, feeling pretty good. That was a little rant, but
I like
um,
it, dude. I'd say the only thing that could mess up what Green Bay's got going on is if someone introduces Jordan Love to that ayahuasca dealer.
oh
Don't want
God.
that to happen. So,
Yeah, it has been nice to not have many headlines about the quarterback for sure. It's been nice. Yeah, hopefully that part he doesn't inherit that quickly. Like maybe late career Jordan can get into that stuff. Keep the
my God,
parallels going.
stick to the sparkling apple cider at this point. I like it. So,
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Like Daniel said, my name is Christian. We are
yeah.
Rough Draft Research. We are back. Hopefully you're rejoining us. And if you're new, welcome in. This week, this is one of Daniel's projects, so I'm going to let him do more of the talking in just a second. But we are going to go over the last 5 seasons and basically do the all rookie fantasy team of each season and kind of compare them. So without any more of my blabber, let's go ahead. Take it away, Daniel.
All right, here we go. Yeah, basically, I think we all noticed that it was a pretty good year for the
Mm.
rookies this year in 2023. So I wanted to kind of crunch the numbers and just do a head-to-head comparison with all rookies, starting rosters, top performers for the past 5 years, and just chart it to see how unprecedented this year really was, or if it was just, a decent year. And it's kind of funny when you look at the numbers. We'll get to them towards the end, but it is a trend. There is a trend in place, and I'd love to highlight a couple of the obvious things. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to start in the beginning, man. 5 years puts us at 2019. What a beautiful year. It was
Hmm.
the first rookie draft
It
for the
was.
Belt League. Yeah.
It was.
It was my heart high water mark as a fantasy manager, and I'll get into why here as we go. But all right, to just preface this, we're gonna look at superflex rosters, and so that doesn't necessarily mean two quarterbacks. Sometimes there was skill position players that outdid a second quarterback. Um, so yeah, that's basically the long short of it, and we'll look at totals and kind of go through the position groups at the end. But to start off with 2019, we had a stellar year from the young man Kyler Murray making the quarterback headlining list. He came in with 285 fantasy points. It was pretty good. So he led the squad, and then Miles Sanders and Josh Jacobs were your running backs that year. Miles Sanders actually, outdid Josh Jacobs there with 200 and about 220 fantasy points, where Jacobs was locked in about 190, which was a not bad, it's pretty decent. Um, and then your wide receiver room for this year was a combination of Terry McLaurin and AJ Brown. So that was exciting. That was
Hmm.
Tennessee AJ Brown, if you guys remember those days. Um, so they kicked ass. Noah Fant was your
Woo!
tight end for the year. Yeah,
Second rookie pick for
that
yours truly.
that was impressive, man. Oh man, don't tell them the first pick. We don't have to talk about it.
Oh,
Not every
Paris.
Buckeye was made to fly.
One night in
Um,
Paris.
Good Lord, man. So it doesn't matter. That was a fun draft. I got Terry McLaurin there in the second, and I was pretty happy about it. Um, but yeah, to get our flex in, we had Debo Samuel,
Mm.
right at about 190 points. And then, believe it or not, man, Gardner Minshew is your super flex quarterback with 230 points. So
When
um,
Minshew Mania began.
I know, dude. It's still alive thanks to injuries and I don't know. He's like Baker without the draft capital, I guess, We'll see how far he goes with it. But yeah, one thing to mention is that our buddy DK Metcalf just narrowly missed the list, 2 points lower than Debo Samuel. Um, and I'd say there's a couple of guys that really made a name for themselves out of this class. Deontay Johnson really comes
Mm,
to mind.
mm.
Hollywood sparked. Singletary's had some good games, and David Montgomery's doing some good stuff too. So um, I don't know, just some stuff to keep in mind. But all told, this roster had a sum total of 1,634 fantasy points. And like I said, we'll get to the comparing year by year as we go forward. But I don't know, man. You got anything crazy to say about this class before we roll on to the next one?
Oh, not about this class necessarily. I've got more general thoughts saved for the end. I will say though, in case people listening didn't get the reference, I took Paris Campbell in the first round of the rookie draft pretty early too. I think it was like the fifth pick, fifth or sixth, over Terry and AJ Brown and all these other guys. So it's
Yeah.
rough. It happens quick on you sometimes. First rookie draft was a whiff by yours truly, but it's still a strong class, man.
Yeah, it really was.
Mhm.
I like that. I mean, we'll see how that fantasy total holds up compared to these new age, laser focused. I don't know what they're doing now, but it seems like it's futuristic compared to some of these players we're talking about.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, in 2020, we're rolling into the dream team led by Justin Herbert. Man,
Hmm.
wow, what a fun year. He hit 333 PPR style fantasy points, which was pretty impressive. Man, this class was fun. And then you've got Jonathan Taylor
Hmm.
right over 250. And actually, just right on his heels is James Robinson with 250 points in the running back room. So that was pretty incredible. Skip forward to, Justin Jefferson, who just blew us all
Woof.
away
Yeah.
with 274. And then CD Lamb, man, I mean, it was definitely a crescendo going on, but he started out pretty loud with the 218 fantasy points. So that's nice. Soft year for the tight end room. I mean, it was led by Cole Kmet with a whopping 62
Woof.
fantasy points. So he definitely had better days ahead. He probably got that. many and just touchdowns this year. So good for him. But yeah, it doesn't get any more interesting than Chase Claypool being our flex position with
Mm.
215 fantasy points, man. Yeah, that was good enough to get him, I guess, traded to Cole Kmet's team. They wanted to party together after doing so well as rookies. But this is one where we have our super flex occupied by a non-quarterback, and it's Antonio Gibson, just right over the 200 point mark. And it's obvious, well, it's obvious to me who did the research, but Joe Burrow only played 10 games his rookie year. And so that gave him 173 points. So he missed a curtain call on this one. But it's cool to see. I mean, this is where it gets kind of weird, you know. There's some top heavy stuff here with Taylor and Herbert and Jefferson and Lamb,
Yeah,
but
that
then
wide
there's
receiver room is
also
crazy.
it's beautiful, man. But then you look at Claypool, Gibson, and James Robinson, and it's like, ooh, boy, sometimes it's just a flash in the pan. But yeah, if you get in here, I mean, T. Higgins barely missed it. Gibson outscored him by about 8 fantasy points. So, that heated up. Swift is on there. DeAndre, he's doing all right. And then you got Brandon Ayuk, who's an absolute monster these days.
Hmm.
So it wasn't all bad. Gabe Davis even on here. So, and Jalen Hurts, man. I mean, this is kind of a good class if you had the time to miss on the one hit wonders, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, so this total for this class was 1,807. So
Woof.
that's up from 1633. So starting to heat up, man. Starting to head in the right direction. So are you ready for the 2021?
Yeah, let's get into
Uh,
it.
Okay. This is drum roll, please. No, no drum rolls. Mac Jones. Mac
Oof.
Jones, baby, is the quarterback supreme on this setup, and he's right at about 225 fantasy points. Um, Najee Harris, though, 300-point rookie year. Kidding me? Got to circle back for some respect on that.
Yeah.
Um, then you got Javonte Williams, about 205. And then this wide receiver room is heating up pretty good. You got Jamar Chase, dude. I mean, what a rookie year with 305 fantasy points, you know? That's pretty good, especially how that's 25 points higher than Justin Jefferson had the
Hmm.
previous year, you know? So you get pretty excited about that. Of course, there's an extra game that season, doesn't matter. Let's see. Jalen Waddle makes the list at 246 fantasy points. Gotta love our tight end room jumping from 62 all the way up to 176 points for Kyle Pitts. Pretty good. Somehow still a disappointment,
You're
Kyle
right.
Pitts.
Yeah.
But he's still that's a pretty solid rookie year, especially for the tight end room, or it used
Hmm.
to be until we got into these new flashy young guys. But more to come on that, obviously. Amon Ra is holding down the flex position, which is, I mean, we've got to apologize every time we say his name
Yeah, pretty
at the
much.
brutal rookie analysis we gave him.
That was tough.
And yeah, all he did in college was catch every ball and didn't matter how pretty it looked, and that's all he's doing now. But 225 fantasy points was pretty solid. And then we got in the super flex position. We've got like another quarterback. It's Trevor Lawrence, who had just right under 200 PPR points. Not great for a quarterback, but he did manage to barely stave off some pretty solid contenders. There's Devonta Smith, just barely missing it. He had 186 points. And then Freiermuth had a pretty good year, just about
Yep.
25 points behind Pitts. And then I can't not say Elijah Mitchell's name.
RDR
Just,
legend.
dude, because I mean, what are you going to do? 165 points from nowhere, making Trey Sermon take the bus out of town. Just, man, that was incredible. That was a home run for you. And so we gotta play the hits when they come up. But
Hopefully I'll get another one, but as it stands, that's one of my better fantasy moments. Now, obviously it hasn't worked out long term, but that rookie season, I was feeling good.
heck yeah. I'm
Um,
with it, man. So this total for this year is 1,883. So
mm,
we're
so
up
up
from
again.
1,807. Yeah, it's climbing, man. We're climbing out of the pits. I don't know why
Yeah,
I
and
do that.
in case anybody forgot, I'm sure it would be hard to forget, but that Trevor Lawrence year, obviously that was the Urban Meyer year.
Oh
So that
God.
was really hard for him to get any sort of traction going. But
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, Najee Harris coming out with 300 points, just looking like he was going to be an absolute stud. And he's been good. He just hasn't really taken it to quite those heights ever again. But yeah, this was a strong class. I remember this one. This was fun.
Heck yeah. No, it was a lot of fun. I mean, spoiler alert coming at you, but yeah, no one on this list is top Najee Harris. Like that's the highest number
Wow.
as far as the running backs go. So pretty impressive. And yeah, he was
Well, I
only
mean, like,
bested by Jamar Chase, so
I was
just
about to
barely.
say, like, we're talking about Jamar Chase having one of the greatest rookie wide receiver seasons of all time, and he's 4 points in front of Najee Harris. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, fantasy doesn't directly translate to on the field greatest rookie season of all time, but that's still crazy that Najee was only 4 points behind Chase.
Yeah. No, it's wild, man. I mean, yeah, we'll get into a guy later who he outscored, and people will be like, huh, how's that even possible? I don't know. You have to check the math, have to check the numbers. By the way, thanks, StatHead, for helping me out with all my research. You guys are the best
Woo!
all the
That
way.
head.
Do it. So then last year, right? Not this year, but last year, the 2022 class. Um, great, great stuff. So yeah, led by Kenny Pickett in the quarterback room
Mm,
with the whopping 150 PPR points.
woof.
Um, Kenneth Walker, man, the Doke himself, come out with 202 points. Man, these numbers are kind of low. There's Damian Pierce at 166. Then you got Garrett Wilson, man, pretty exciting little rookie year there. Obviously, rookie of the year. But let's see, 215 on that. Olave is right about 200. And then Chig Okonkwo coming at you with 97 points to get that taken care of for the tight ends. And then Drake London, you know how it goes in Atlanta, a little bit of disappointment all the time. He hit 178 to be your flex. And then super flex on this one, not a quarterback. This was George Pickens, man.
Mm.
So he did pretty good there at 166, just narrowly edging Tyler Algier out of that spot, who ended up with about 160. So, yeah, I don't know. This was Brock Purdy's rookie year. Maybe if he
Mm.
had played more than 9 games or started more than 5 games, he would have done a little better than his
Oh yeah,
106.
presumably.
But man, it's kind of a nosedive here. This is only 1,375
Stuff.
fantasy points. So,
It was a tough year, and I remember it's crazy because you think, oh my God, Damian Pierce had such a great rookie
hmm.
season. Like that's all we heard about. And like, but if you go back and look, like 166, that he's outscored by Javante, he's outscored by almost double by Najee, outscored by James Robinson, Jonathan Taylor. Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs, like all these other guys have had a better year than him, but I feel like I heard more about Pierce being a fourth round pick coming out. And I know he missed some games, so maybe he could have, but he was pretty far off on them on points, some of these guys.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't we don't I feel like the truth has kind of panned out after the
Hmm.
sophomore year with him,
Well,
but
I guess my thought was like maybe it's worth looking. Okay, this rookie's having a great year. He's the best rookie running back going. But maybe look at him compared to previous rookie running back seasons. Because if you had
ah,
seen, oh man, okay, everybody's freaking out about Damian Pierce, but he scored 166 points, and that's not even that good compared to other rookie running backs. Maybe you could have taken advantage of that value and maybe kind of tried to see this thing coming. Now, it's hard to trade a guy coming off what is a great year, but I guess my point is if you actually look at the fantasy numbers, it wasn't that great of a year. It was fine.
yeah. No, it was it might have been surprising at its value, but
but still not like incredible,
it's almost apples to apples, similar to Clyde Edward-Hilaire's rookie year. So same number of games played, just right about the same fantasy points and kind of the same follow up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
got it. So man,
He only
we got
had
to
one
see if we
more
can
point than Elijah Mitchell did.
boom. Yeah, now I feel like you're massaging the data at this point. No, just mess with you, but it's of a similar kind of man. I don't know. I'm not seeing anyone crazy from this past year that fits that mold. Oh, well, no, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to think about it. We'll have to think about it some more. But should we talk about the 2023
We
rookie
should.
class, the
We
dream
should.
team of all
The
dream
dream
teams?
team.
So, CJ Stroud,
Woof.
gosh, what a guy. 276, pretty solid. You had Bijan Robinson.
Mm.
Heard of him? I think you have. 246. Gibbs, Jameer, that 242, pretty good. Oh my God, who's this guy? Puka Nakoa? Who? Never heard of him. 299. Not quite as much
Jesus.
as Najee. Wow. But yeah, still breaking the bank. That's pretty
Wow.
amazing. Jordan Addison, your wide receiver two here, with 221 points. My God, Sam Laporta
Mm.
with 239. That feels good. That feels good. Um, your flex is going to be Jaden Reed with 217, and then a super flex who is not a quarterback with Rasheed Rice with 212 fantasy points. So that's pretty good. I got to give a little shout out to Devon A Chain, 190 points, just
Mm.
barely missing that super flex spot. Um, only in 11 games. We know the story. Some of those games weren't even games. But then you got Dalton Kincaid with 150 points. So 16 points shy of Kyle Pitt's rookie year, so
Hmm.
kind of puts it a little more in perspective for me at least. And then, yeah, not going to make it in the super flex position with your 156 points, Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
Tough
to.
rookie season for Bryce Young.
Yeah,
It was a lot. But yeah, nobody else on the actual starting squad, nobody scored less than 200 points as a
man.
rookie, which is just that's bananas. That would be, oh my word, that would be awesome.
Dang.
That'd be so much fun. Yeah, this was such a fun rookie class. Surprises coming out of nowhere with Puka and a little bit with Jaden Reed and a little bit with Rasheed Rice, I would say. And then you got the studs actually being studs and Laporta, Robinson, Gibbs, and Stroud. Like it's kind of exactly what you wanted. And yeah, there's still guys loaded up, ready to go. Right there, kind of fighting for that edge spot. So yeah, this was a fun class.
Oh yeah, man. And their grand total was 1,953. So 1,953. That
Jeez.
is the highest number. Um, I don't know if you're following around with my graphs, but there's one that kind of gives the trend for the kind of the super flex, the one quarterback and the two quarterback. Um, point totals for
Hmm.
for the past 5 years, and it really is kind of a gradual incline that is linear, except for
2022
2022,
was a
where it's
dip.
just like a 500 point dip, which I mean there's a lot of things that contributed to it. Um, but if you look at like the position by year breakdown, it really looks like it just was the lowest, quarterback total, the lowest pair of the top two running back totals.
Mm.
Same with the wide receiver. And then the tight end is not the lowest. Thank you, Cole Kmet, for keeping that alive. But then if you cross back over and look at the 2023, it's just like it's so consistently um, average or above average. And honestly, the difference maker in this is Sam Laporta, man. It's
Yeah.
like the numbers, for let's just say the quarterback, the top QB, they didn't, wasn't better than Herbert's rookie year.
Hmm.
Um, and then you look at your running backs, Jonathan Taylor is in there with James Robinson and then Najee, and Javante. Like, the combination of both of those years was better than Gibbs
Hmm.
and Robinson.
Hmm.
Um, Wide receivers, no one's really chipping away with that Waddle and Jamar year. Like, you can't top that.
Yeah.
But when you look at the tight end room, man, when you get that extra, that 240, when you're comparing it to next best is Pitts with, a solid 65 points less, that kind of advantage just puts them way over the top. So I don't know. I had a lot of fun kind of looking at the trend and kind of seeing where the excitement comes from. And I mean, there's a reason he won the Sweet 16 redone.
Yeah.
Sam Laporta is the rookie goat, man.
Yeah, that positional advantage is pretty crazy. And then like I had some general observations and it's kind of leads right into the first one with the tight ends is like we always talk about how tight ends start slow, but now we have like a 5 year example. Like we're talking about Sam Laporta at 239 and I know you mentioned the numbers, but just to reiterate, 19 TJ Hawkinson 81 points if you round up. Cole Kmet in 2020, 62. Kyle Pitts, 176 in 2021. And Chig in 2022 is 97. Like these guys, like the three of those guys added up barely make Laporta, and that's with taking out Kyle Pitts this season. So it's just crazy that he has started at this level. He's kind of put himself in his own little category almost. In terms of how good he has been. Him and Gronk, like we talked about during that Sweet 16 episode. So yeah, man, I like it can't be reiterated enough. And I think like going forward, trying to find somebody like that is really, really going to be important. But I don't know that you will be able to replicate it.
Yeah, no. I mean, you say that, and then we got Brock Bowers coming at us. So
That's fair.
it's like,
That's fair.
we'll see how it goes. But no, it's guy's a stud, man.
No,
But
absolutely.
just a really well-rounded class this year,
Hmm.
to be able to compete on all those levels. This past year's always had their shortcomings,
Yeah.
that Chase year with Najee and everything like that was also when we're staring down like what Mac Jones,
And Trevor, yeah.
and yeah, and Trevor Lawrence having that urban year. So it doesn't always come out where it's like studs at every position, but this
Hmm.
past year it really was. So um, I don't know. Did you want to take a moment to walk through these guys and see if you see a potential for them to pay some kind of I don't know what I'm trying to say. You got any vibes off of some of these other guys from these past classes that you're reminded of through this squad?
Yeah, so I actually did a little experiment here. I went through and literally just all the guys that made the all rookie team. I tried to kind of project what I thought their next few years would look like by using guys that were in the previous 5 years in the all rookie team. So it'll make more sense maybe when I go through it. I did want to throw out just one more stat that I thought was really interesting before we get into this though with the QBs. It's an interesting marker here to me. The QBs that got 250 fantasy points in their rookie year, that seemed to mark like a good or sorry, a great rookie year and like continued success because the three guys that did that, well, obviously we got to wait on Stroud, but he had 275. And then Justin Herbert, 332, and Kyler Murray had 285. And now you can argue both those guys haven't had the best career so far, but they've been good in fantasy. And if you look at the other guys through this past 5 years, it's Gardner Minshew had 230, but he exploded and everybody thought he was going to be awesome coming out of his rookie year. Didn't really do so much. Mac Jones, 225, same exact thing as Gardner Minshew. Kenny Pickett, 150, obviously not great. Bryce Young, also 156. So obviously not great. But then the one that really caught my eye that's under that 250 mark is Trevor Lawrence. And I know we talked about that Urban Meyer year, but he hasn't really been that guy, or at least the guy that we thought he was going to be yet. So I don't know. It was an interesting because like to me is in terms of fantasy, Stroud, Herbert, Kyler, you're good. Like those are great fantasy quarterbacks and they all hit over that mark. Whereas these other guys, even Trevor Lawrence to an extent, I think some people are starting to be worried about him in terms of fantasy. I think some people are still holding out for that ascension, which absolutely could happen, but I do think you're worrying. So it was just an interesting number that I noticed.
Right on, man. I think yeah, I was pretty into the Trevor Lawrence hype train this year, and I gotta say I got off at the first stop, man, because it was
Well, we'll
kind of a
see.
we'll see, yeah, man.
I, I mean, he's still
Yeah,
got the talent, but it's just been weird so far. But
like the red
getting,
zone woes for that team just tanked
yeah,
his value,
and it
man.
seems like they need like a true guy there. I mean, Calvin Ridley was supposed to be the guy. He didn't really
Yeah.
work out, not like consistently enough. But anyway, let me get into my 2023 rookie class projections. So basically, it's not necessarily projecting based on play style or anything like that. It's literally like production excuse me, production based. So
Okay.
basically, how I think these guys are going to do over the next 5 years. So we'll start with Puka. Um, I think Puka, obviously, I mean, the sky's the absolute limit for this guy. He set all the rookie records that you could possibly set. I am worried with Puka about Stafford being 36 years old. I know we want to talk. Everybody like quarterbacks play into their 40s, da 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 da. But here are
Mhm.
some notable quarterback names, not Breeze, Rodgers, or Brady, and their age of retirement. Eli and Peyton Manning, both 39 years old. Matt Ryan, 38 years old. Tony Romo, 36 years old. Philip Rivers, 39 years old. Big Ben, 39 years old. Carson Palmer, 38 years old. So these guys, like Stafford's right in this retirement window. He really is. Like, I know maybe we don't want to think about it, and maybe he will play until his 40s, but I do think it's time to start thinking about that. And as we've talked about, I don't know that Puka can consistently be that guy without Stafford. However, if Stafford's there for 1 to 3 years or even five, I think you could look at Puka in like a similar light to Jalen Waddle, a guy who is in the top 10. He could absolutely be in the top 10 again. Is gonna fight for the 15s, absolutely. And he just looks like an absolute stud, and you're good with him. A first round pick, everything about him that you want, but maybe not necessarily like the wide receiver one. Waddle isn't the number one on his team. You could argue Puka is over Cooper Cup right now. But if Cooper Cup is healthy and he's on that team, that's still going to be like an area for him to have to overcome. So I just thought that made sense. Like somebody that's going to be highly productive for you, but maybe not like top tier quite there. And I know that's not what other guys would necessarily about Puka, but that's where I'm at with him.
Yeah, the concern is there. I mean, yeah, what happens to these guys if they don't have an all-star quarterback? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually gets into my next guy. And that was Jordan Addison. So a comparison for him, I cheated a tiny bit on this one because I didn't really find somebody that really lined up with it. So I got as close as I could. And so I did AJ Brown just because they're on the same team. But really, what I mean is, I think Addison has a similar career path to Devonta Smith, similar to Jalen Waddle, where it's like really, really good games. Or not as good as Jalen Waddle, but like really good games. But he's not the number one on his team, so he's gonna have those downer games. My thing with Addison too, though, is what's the deal with Kirk Cousins? Is it going to be Cousins? Is it going to be Jaden Daniels? Is it going to be Bo Nix? Like who's going to be throwing him the ball? And if that person, whoever it is, can they sustain TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and everybody else that they need to? My gut says yes. I think the coach, what is his name?
I
O'Connell?
can see him. Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin O'Connell. Jesus, I can't couldn't picture him. But yeah, Kevin O'Connell, I think he's a good play caller. I think he will get that offense moving. So I'm not super worried about it. So I do like Devonta Smith has been in the teens too. I think that's where Addison will remain with the ceiling for like a top 10, but that's where I see him now. That moves on to our third receiver of our our all rookie 2023 team, and that's Jaden Reed. And ironically, he has the brightest QB outlook of any of these guys, which is
Hey,
not something you would have thought going in to the season. We had no idea who Love was going to be. A lot of people were out. You wouldn't even honestly, week 8, you probably wouldn't have said that. So, like, it's been quite the turnaround. And because of that, I have Jaden Reed lining up with Debo Samuel.
ooh,
Maybe not quite the wide receiver 3 year that Debo had, because I don't think anybody can replicate that amount of running and receiving.
yeah, that's the hybrid role is insane.
Yeah, that I'm not thinking he gets there, but the rest of where Debo is, where he has these massive fuck off weeks where he just explodes and then kind of is middling but still good and always is a threat. Like, you're never going to take him out of your starting lineup for the most part. Like that type of thing for Jaden Reed, because he does have that dual threat ability. I mean, he had over 100 yards on the ground. That doesn't sound like a lot, but he had a decent amount of touches. He also had 2 touchdowns, and I think that increases. I think they want him to be that type role. I mean, Matt LaFleur came from the Kyle Shanahan system, so it's not crazy to think he'd want a guy that can do that. Now, I don't think Jaden Reed has the body to be able to do that like Debo. I mean, Debo doesn't even seem to have the body to be able to do that consistently. So I don't think he reaches the heights that Debo reached in that one season. But I think that's like this again, these teens, top 10 potential. Like, I think that's where Jaden Reed's going to sit, and you're going to get this kind of hybrid role out of him. Maybe a little frustrating at times as that offense feeds a lot of people, kind of like San Francisco. But last wide receiver on the list is Rashee Rice. I am on record as saying I think the Chiefs will bring somebody in to be the true number one. And I do think Rice has shown a lot in the playoffs, and maybe that could end up being wrong. So I've got Terry McLaurin as a
Hey,
good comparison for Rashee Rice. It's going to be this consistent role player. Role player sounds harsh. Consistent star, but not like 30 points, not like all this crazy Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type score, which is what Terry doesn't have. The advantage that Rice will have over Terry, unfortunately for Terry, is the QB play will be astronomical and be out of this world when you're playing with Patrick Mahomes. So I think even as a 2, potentially Rice can put up the same amount of numbers as Terry McLaurin, even if they do bring in a number 1. Whereas Terry, even as a 1 on his offense, is hanging in the teens, early 20s, because his quarterback's just not consistent enough. So I think even as a 2 on his own offense, Rashee Rice can borderline be a 1 for you. Like, he could scooch into there sometimes, but probably more hang into the early teens. But I mean, he has just shown something, and obviously Mahomes and Andy Reid love him. So I've got him as a Terry McLaurin comp in terms of last 5 years, guys. And you helped me out with that one, so I appreciate you.
hey, I
But
love Terry. If we can get that out of Rice, I'll be thrilled.
oh yeah, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Um, Going into the 2 running backs, there was honestly only one running back career trajectory that made sense for both these guys, so I kind of looped them in. To me, it's Jonathan Taylor. Outside of Jonathan Taylor getting hurt, obviously, when Jonathan Taylor's on the field and healthy, he is an absolute superstar. And both these guys are. Now, if you were going outside of the last 5 years and just kind of doing whatever comps, obviously, I don't think Gibbs and Bijan are exactly the same type player. Gibbs is more Kamara, and Bijan's, I don't know, some like Barkley, basically, but like what you want out of Barkley full time. So I don't think they are similar players, but in terms of career trajectory, I think it's like full send on both these guys. Both these guys are RB1s. And that's kind of what I meant there. Whereas all the other one, even Najee, like he had that crazy rookie year, but then it's just kind of been fine ever since. I don't see that happening. And to me, as frustrated as you can get with Jonathan Taylor because of his injuries, like when he's playing and healthy, he's a superstar. There isn't these like, oh, he's just kind of fine. Like, no, he's a fucking phenom when he's actually healthy. It's just the health issue. So I know it's a cop out. I lumped them both together, but just honestly, they're the 2 best running backs of the last 5 years. You could argue Taylor, but that's it, so it's hard. A similar issue with Sam Laporta, because I put him in his comp is Sam Laporta
Yeah,
because
for sure.
there hasn't been no one like him. Not in the last 5 years. You have to go all the way to Gronk to get that start, and you want him to not have the career of Gronk because Gronk couldn't stay healthy. So you don't want that for Laporta. But yeah, there's nobody comparing to him in the last 5 years. I mean, Kyle Pitts would have been the closest in terms of a start, and he's been frustrating so far. Don't give up on him. I see a lot of people giving up on him. Please don't do it. He's still very young, and Atlanta's hopefully finally going to get moving. But yeah, so Sam Laporta, he deserves to be in his own category. So he is. I also lumped in the two guys or the three guys you had as like almost making it. I forgot
Mhm.
to talk about Achan with the running backs, but my comp for him was Kenneth Walker. Again, not a
Okay.
play style thing, more of a explosive 30-point weeks for 50-point weeks for HN, but then like kind of weeks where he gets bottled up or whatever. That's what I expect for him, but absolutely could be a league winner for you, kind of like Walker can be when he's going. And then going into Dalton Kincaid for the tight ends, I've got him comped to Pat Fryermuth for
Oh,
consistently good, but and great even, but not like I don't know that he's not gonna be Laporta. Like he's not gonna be the tight end one. I don't think. I think he's gonna be like in the top 10, consistently good, get you 15 points, maybe a few weeks where he has crazy games. But I just think the way Josh Allen runs, the way he spreads the ball around, I don't know that that role is going to be a Travis Kelsey role or a Sam Laporta type role. I could be wrong, but that's kind of where I have him. But that's still a top 10 tight end. It's not like I don't think to me that's not a slight. I like Fryermuth a lot though. So getting
yeah.
in, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to applaud that. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Um, Getting into the quarterbacks, I thought this one was easy with CJ Stroud. I think it's Joe Burrow.
Okay.
I think the way they orchestrate an offense and are able to just be cool and deliver the ball on time, and maybe like they can run, but they're not like known for their rushing ability necessarily. I think they have a very similar career path, but it's a superstar S tier career path. It's not like this, oh, my middling, whatever. No, I think they're going to be phenomenal. So to me, but just because there isn't that dynamic, not calling see trying to say CJ Stroud isn't dynamic seems like a bad thing to say, but like I don't mean it that way. He's obviously a dynamic thrower, but just not necessarily on the ground. And that's why I put him in with Joe Burrow. And then finally, and maybe a sad note to end on, but Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett is the comp, which is sad. I liked Bryce Young. I liked Kenny Pickett coming out. I just I don't see the Panthers turning this around. I hope I'm wrong. I like Bryce Young. I want the Panthers fan base to be happy. I think it's going to be a nightmare. I think they're going to have a hard time getting a coach. I think I just think it's going to go south, and I think Bryce Young is going to suffer a little bit here. He may not end up getting benched necessarily like Kenny Pickett did, but I don't know, at least in terms of fantasy, if he's going to be a guy that you can really rely on.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I don't think anyone wants anything to do with them at this point, you know.
yeah,
Uh
which is unfortunate.
yeah,
But there you have it.
delusional.
So there are my comps for the 2023 rookies in terms of career projected out over the next few years. So I'd like to look back at this in a few years and see how I did, but
Yeah.
feel good about it.
I feel like this is one we're gonna update. I'm gonna, we're gonna do this every year and kind
Yeah,
of
I like this
tack
one.
it on because I mean, just looking at the little graphs, it's like, oh yeah, there's a story to tell, and you can see the booms, and then you look at the names, and you're like, fucking, really? This James Robinson stuff? You know what I mean? So, that's cool.
Yeah, and
Well,
that's the thing. A lot of these guys I had projected to do pretty good, but as we've seen, there's a few guys each year that tend to fall out. I mean, you got Miles Sanders, Noah Fant, and Gardner Minshew in 19. You got Robinson, Claypool, Gibson in 20, Mac Jones. That's pretty much just Mac Jones in 2021, maybe Najee. And then
Yeah,
2022 is tough. Kenny Pickett, Damian Pierce, Chig, even George Pickens. But again, I think a lot of these, it also the wide receivers are getting screwed. The 2022 class of wide receivers are getting QB screwed so hard. And Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Drake London, and George Pickens. That's tough.
bad. Yeah,
That's
man,
tough
you can't
stuff.
really. You can't be a receiver without a thrower. Like, come on now.
Yeah, yeah.
But damn. Well,
Well,
I've got like 2 minutes on just checking in on the NFL. I just got
let's
to
do it.
keep these guys honest. I want to see. So when you see a guy like Puka Nakoa have the rookie year that he had,
Hmm.
you got to go back to the draft and look. And so just for these past 3 years, I'm checking out some stuff. I want to know what day three guys had over 100 fantasy points just to
Hmm.
see if we can still trust, NFL draft capital as being like the king, trumping all of our pre-draft research, or if we should, come up with our own thoughts and we don't have to get into the bust of the early guys, your Quentin Johnsons and your yeah, whatever. I mean, it goes on forever. Even, yeah, doesn't matter. And I'm seeing, so this year there were five guys that had over 100 fantasy points that were day three picks. Last year it was actually five, and then the previous year it was six. So we'll just tag in these guys real quick and see how we feel about it. Surprising one here, Demario Douglas was a 6th round pick. He just squeaked over the 107. So I don't think you have to get too excited about that. You didn't really miss gold on that, but he's definitely doing well. Obviously, Puka Nakoa in the 5th round, leading nearly 300 fantasy points as a rookie. That's insane. Then you got Dontavian Wicks, man. He
Woohoo!
was he was right there in the 5th round as well. A couple of picks before Puka, actually. But he's right there at 120 fantasy points for a rookie. So that's pretty solid day three production. In the 4th round, this is kind of a weird one, but it still qualifies with Aiden O'Connell.
Hmm.
So 125 points, not nothing, he's doing pretty decent compared to some of these other guys. Some of these really highly drafted 1st round, first overall pick guys, on a per game basis, doing a little bit better than him. And then you got Roshan, who missed he missed a little bit of time, but he just got over the 100 point mark. So I think we all kind of saw that coming. He wasn't much of a sleeper compared to the other four guys on that list. But
Hmm.
so that's that. But in 2022, we've got a couple of outstanding 7th round picks. And Brock Purdy, obviously, just squeaks over the 100 point mark last year. And then Isaiah Pacheco, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, 135 as a rookie. Obviously, he's taken that and ran with it. We mentioned Tyler Algier is a 5th round pick, just right at about 160 points. And then obviously, we've been talking about Damian Pierce a little, good, bad, or otherwise, but he was a 4th round pick, technically day three there, 166. And then just squeaking right over at the 101 is our boy Romeo. Oh,
Oh.
oh, Romeo Dobbs, who's taken that rookie year production and turned it into something pretty special in the 2nd year. So we were on that one, NFL. So we knew it. But going to 2021, there were six guys as mentioned. The 6th round pick, stud, you know him, you love him. Elijah Mitchell got 165 points. That was solid. Obviously, didn't go well long term,
After, yeah.
but CMC going to do that. Injuries are going to do that. But in the 5th round, we had Kenneth Gainwell, 123. 4th round, there was a big slug of them. Michael Carter, didn't pan out too hot there. Ramondre Stevenson only had 115, later heated up, not contending with Damian Harris and all that stuff. So um, let's see, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yes, aka the Puka of his time, with 227 points out of the fourth. And then Chuba Hubbard, man, he had 213 points coming out of the fourth round. So you were on. This is a good class for you, man. It was a solid class. So not a good class for me. Don't have to talk about it. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to see, when you're doing research, you get into those guys that don't end up getting drafted in the first 2 days. So
Mhm.
if you got a feeling, man, some of these guys do pan out in a big way, but even in small ways that develop. So got to keep an eye on them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it is fun, but I mean, like, it sucks because like a lot of those late round rookies you just mentioned who went over 100, it was cool, but a lot of them have kind of just been fine since that. So it's like kind of a hit or miss show there, but it is worth keeping an eye on because yeah, some of these guys are crazy. Romeo turned it on another level in the playoffs. He was awesome. So
Yeah, man, he's kicking ass.
well, anything else for us?
I don't think so, man. I think that's
Okay.
it.
Well, all right then. Hopefully you all liked that. We will be back next week. Do we know what we're getting into next week or
Oh yeah, we'll find out next week, baby.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
tune in.
join us next week for the secret content that we're gonna figure out later.
You know
And
it.
until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
I took a lease out on your heart.